Good evening, visitors, and welcome to the Australian War Memorial's last post ceremony. My name is Sharon Bown, and joining us this evening from the Royal Australian Navy is Petty Officer Stacey Kelly. 2026 marks 125 years of dedicated service by the Australian Army and its predecessors. Today we remember and pay tribute to Corporal Mclaurin McGufficke. We are honoured to acknowledge Warrant Officer of the Navy, Warrant Officer Andrew Batonchen, and the accompanying delegation from the Royal Australian Navy's 2026 Sailor of the Year programme. We are also honoured to acknowledge United Kingdom Defence Nuclear Safety Regulator, Mr. Matt Lister, and the Director-General Australian Naval Nuclear Power Safety Regulator, Mr. Michael Drake. We also welcome their accompanying delegation. We welcome the veterans who have served, those that are still serving, and the families that love and support them. The live stream of this ceremony is made possible by the Returned and Services League of Australia and the RSL and Services Clubs Association. We welcome members who are watching the broadcast of this ceremony across Australia. During this evening's ceremony, wreaths will be laid at the base of the pool of reflection by visitors to the memorial and by students on behalf of the Fintona Girls' School visiting from Bolwyn, Victoria. If you are able, would you please stand and join in singing the National Anthem. Students and those who are able to do so, please be seated. The Australian War Memorial was the vision of Charles Bean, Australia's First World War official historian. Bean landed with the Australian troops on Gallipoli and stayed with them at the front through to the end of the war. The idea of this national memorial and museum came to him at Pozières, France, in the depths of the bloody fighting of 1916. Bean's idea was that this would be a place where families and friends could mourn loved ones buried in faraway places. It would also be a place that could help all Australians understand what these men and women had endured and what they had done for us. Bean's vision, to which we remain true, is best expressed as inscribed in the entrance to the memorial's galleries. Here is their spirit, in the heart of the land they loved, and here we guard the record which they themselves made. Tonight we will read the story behind just one of those on the Roll of Honour, which lists the names of more than 103,000 men and women who have given their lives for us in war and on operations for more than a century. But first, we present a lament, Flowers of the Forest. Wreaths and floral tributes will now be laid at the base of the pool of reflection.
Today, we remember and pay tribute to Private Norman Mclaurin McGufficke. Known as Dick, he was born on the 13th of August 1920 in Jindabyne, New South Wales, to Herbert Norman McGufficke and Katie Eleanor Nee Bale. He grew up on the family's property, Mill Creek, and by the time the Second World War began, he was working as a farm labourer in Jindabyne. McGufficke enlisted for service in the 2nd Australian Imperial Force at Paddington, New South Wales on the 30th of April 1941. He trained at Tamworth and Dubbo before being sent as a reinforcement to Singapore. He embarked from Sydney along with other reinforcements on the 29th of July. He turned 21 during the voyage and was hospitalised with seasickness. After disembarking at Singapore on the 16th of August, he was sent to the General Base Details Depot. He joined the 2nd 19th Battalion on the 3rd of October. He felt the calling of home during his time in Malaya, and in a series of quiet moments, he put pen to paper. It's shearing time in Aussie, and the boys are all at work, while I am here in Malaya, this land of heat and dirt. I can see those snowy fleeces stacked neatly by the door, the belly wool and pieces all strewn across the floor. The Rousey cleans the board up, and the day's hard work is done. But alas, I cannot join them, for the army holds me tight in this land of tin and rubber where they say we have to fight. The Japanese began their invasion of Malaya on the 8th of December 1941, some 50 minutes before their attack on Pearl Harbor. The 2nd 19th Battalion was initially held at Johor along with the other Australian battalions. They saw their first combat against the Japanese on the 14th of January 1942 near Endau before moving to engage the Japanese at Bakri. Further fighting took place at Muar and Parit Sulong during the month. At Parit Sulong, the now heavily depleted battalion had to leave their wounded behind as they withdrew. All but 2 of those men were subsequently massacred. McGufficke was only one of only 271 men from the 2nd 19th Battalion who made it to British-held positions further south at Yong Peng. The shattered battalion received a draft of 650 barely trained reinforcements on the 26th of January and began withdrawing to Singapore Island the same day. Despite being unfit for further combat, the 2nd 19th Battalion was sent to occupy swampy territory on the northwest of Singapore Island. Here the men found no prepared defensive positions and spent the following days doing what little they could. However, the nature of the terrain and placement of the companies made it impossible to create any adequate or mutually supporting defensive positions. The Japanese began their invasion of Singapore on the night of February 8th, sending 13,000 troops against some 3,000 Australians. They put up a fierce defensive effort, but the Japanese soon gained a foothold, overrunning Australian positions and infiltrating past others. The Australians began to withdraw in relatively good order. One company of the 2nd 19th was left to defend the Tengar airfield, but before reinforcements could arrive, it was forced to withdraw by another Japanese attack. In the early hours of the 10th of February, the 2nd 19th was ordered to withdraw to Bukit Timah village, suffering 2 casualties from a Japanese air attack. After reaching the village, a further movement took place in the afternoon, and by midnight, the Australians had occupied positions at the Jurong Trigonometry Station. But during the day, Norman McGufficke went missing in action. The manner of his death was not recorded, and his remains were never found. A court of inquiry held in April 1946 concluded that he had gone missing on the 10th of February 1942 and was presumed dead. Norman McGufficke was 21 years old. Today, his name is listed on the Singapore Memorial among more than 24,000 names of men and women from Commonwealth forces who died throughout Southern and Eastern Asia who have no known grave. His name is also listed on the Roll of Honour on my left among almost 40,000 Australians who died while serving in the Second World War. His photograph is displayed today beside the pool of reflection. This is but one of the many stories of service and sacrifice told here at the Australian War Memorial. We now remember Corporal Norman Mclaurin McGufficke, who gave his life for us, for our freedoms, and in the hope of a better world.
Please stand for the reading of the Ode and the sounding of the last post.
They shall grow not old, as we that are left grow old. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun and in the morning, we will remember them.
We will remember them. Lest we forget. We leave you this evening with the words of the memorial's founder, Charles Bean. Many a man lying out there at Pozieres or in the low scrub at Gallipoli, with his poor tired senses barely working through the fever of his brain, has thought in his last moments, well, it's over. But in Australia, they will be proud of this. Ladies and gentlemen, girls and boys, that concludes the last post ceremony. On behalf of the director, staff and volunteers, thank you for visiting the Australian War Memorial today, and we wish you all a very pleasant evening. Thank you.